Welcome back to another Stay Connected podcast. It's your host, Leo Herrera, the Connected Golfer. I'm alongside Andrew Weiss today. He's a successful business guy, member at Trump National Doral, my home golf course, and a 2 handicap. Seems to do it somehow, even though he doesn't have much time to play. So we're going to be learning a ton from Andrew today, just from his perspective. More of the golfer that's relatable to most people, I would say. So, Andrew, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. We can talk a lot about a lot of really good topics today as far as golf, business parallels, things that you've used to improve your game, and just how you approach the game of golf in general. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, man.
So Andrew, how'd you get started with the game of golf?
So I don't really remember per se the first day I did anything with golf or picked up a golf club. I've just always kind of been around the game. Bunch of golf clubs in the garage growing up. I had a couple acres in the backyard, so I could hit balls at home. I didn't, do all that stuff. My grandpa was a big golfer, so whenever I would visit him down here in South Florida, we'd always be putting and chipping and messing around with the balls, and he would give me, here, take these clubs home with you, whatever. So I got introduced to the game really early, but I didn't really, we wouldn't have like a golf club down the street for me to walk to. I grew up in Ohio, so it wasn't like I had a neighborhood to go play golf or anything like that. It was very seasonal too. So I didn't really kind of get very serious into golf until, obviously, well, not serious as far as playing the game until I moved to Florida. My first job when I was a kid, when I was 13, I was a golf caddy. I did that I did it from age 13 to 20. I worked at a place called the Golf Club, and I also worked at another Jack Nicklaus course in Columbus. But that was kind of like my summer gig. Carried bags, single bag, double bags. Learned everything about reading putts. Learned everything about what to do in the game, what not to do in the game. So that kind of immersed me pretty early on.
That's awesome. I mean, entering the world as a caddy, I feel like is such a positive way to do it, especially when you don't really know much about the game. Like you learn so much just by being there and not actually like having to hit shots. So you can actually
you learn
understand.
a lot from one, you kind of watch the good guys and you see what they do, and you're like, okay, that guy does that, and then you see the bad guys do what they do, and then you kind of just learn from it. And then also like you get to practice putting, reading putts, like not really hitting the putts, but like reading the putts. I feel like I'm really good at reading greens. I don't like something in my game. As soon as I get up to the green, I figure it out real fast. I don't spend too much time on it, and I think that has a lot to do with my experience of being a caddy. So,
Yeah. What are some of the parallels that you've kind of realized with golf and business? Because you're an entrepreneur, and I mean, you entered the game of golf in a unique way. But I mean, when you were 13 at 20 years old, I'm sure you still had that entrepreneurial mindset.
Totally.
What were some of the things that you saw in golf that could help you with business?
I mean, look, like at 13, 14 years old, like you're caddying for some dudes that are, for example, I caddied for the CEO of Elmer's Glue, and I would listen to his business calls, his meetings. I was there for all of it at a very young age. So that was cool. But I would say the biggest parallels between golf and business is business isn't really just like, it's not like, oh, let me make a bunch of money. It's also problem solving at a very high level. So, you have to be able to put your problem solving hat on. You have to be able to make quick decisions, and you have to be able to execute those decisions too. So golf is very similar to business in that way, because you hit a ball into the trees, like what do? Like you got it's problem solving. I got a problem. I got trees in my way. There's bunkers over there. It's downhill into the water if I punch it too hard. And you got to be able to you got to be able to imagine and make moves quick. So I think golf and business have a lot in common in that nature.
Yeah, for sure. And you're a busy guy, bro. I mean, you don't get much time to really practice much. I mean, at least from what I know, you don't really practice at all.
No.
And like you still go out there, and I mean, we play a ton of matches. I mean, I give you some strokes, but it's still like, neck and neck. You're a competitor. What are some of the things that's helped you, lower your handicap and actually be such a good player without even going out there and practicing?
So I don't really. So I mean, as I don't actually practice at all. You'll never see me at the range hitting balls. You'll never see me rolling putts for an hour. I don't actually go to. If I go to the course, it's to play golf. I'll hit a couple practice shots before at the range, but I'm not like working on anything new. I'm more just getting a rhythm, feeling the face, but also like loosening my muscles, like getting ready for the impact of hitting the ball. What I do though is I do a lot of little stuff at home. So what I mean by little stuff is like I'm practicing 5 to 8, 10-foot putts in the living room on the rug, like constantly throughout the day. So I have a little cup that hits the ball back to me when I hit it. And I find really valuable time. It's not like, oh, let me go practice golf. Like if I'm on a conference call and I'm not talking the whole time and I have the AirPods in, I'll have a club in my hand and I'll be putting, or I'll like, I'll even will practice like the takeaway and like follow through. So I think I've described this to you before. Like, so for me in golf, I create my own systems. Like I look for points in my swing, things in my stance, and like they mean something. So if you like look at the takeaway, like it's 1, 2, 3, I'll practice to 1 like over and over again. And then same thing on the follow through. I'll practice to 1. So like, and I think that by being really good at 1 and 1 on both sides of the ball, if that makes any sense, like it
Yeah.
really helps my game. Like I just need to practice that. I don't need to practice the full swing. I have good feet work already, good balance. It's really just like practicing, because the golf swing, in my opinion, is made up in the first takeaway, and then when you impact the ball, like where your placement is. So if you're not good at that, you can't really ever be good at golf.
Definitely.
So
I
I
really
just practice
love
that.
I really love how simple you approach it. I mean, even when you do the drills at home, like you keep it simple to something that's not sophisticated.
Yep.
Coming from a perspective of someone that sees a lot of business guys out there that they're successful in business, but they seem to have that over analytical mind where
Yes.
they want to get every little detail correctly. What
Well,
advice do you have for those types of people that are out there trying to make it like be perfect because they're good at other things like business?
that's a really good point. So I think the biggest thing in golf is people need to realize and have like a real expectation. Like I can shoot 75 so many freaking ways. I can make a bunch of I can make a bunch of pars and a couple bogeys, or I could have 8 birdies and had 6 double bogeys. Well, I'm just giving you numbers. So like there's a lot of different ways to make up a good score. So what I think that matters the most is you're never out of it. Like you got to have the right mental expectation at all times. So let me give you an example for this type of situation. So if you're kind of expecting yourself to hit every fairway, every green, 2 putt, hit long birdie putts, like get out of here. This isn't for you. Like you have to actually have real expectations. Like I'm not going to
Yeah.
hit every fairway, and you got to be connected at all times to the game. So I hit a ball into the trees. Ask my friends. You know me. I don't. Do I even get phased? I'm like, all right. I guess I just got to deal with it. And then
Yeah.
a lot of times I make really insane up and downs from anywhere in a golf course, because I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, it's a 4-shot hole anyways. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you got 4 shots to get par. It doesn't matter how you do it if you do 4 shots. So I think that you got to be in the mental mindset of whatever you do, it's okay, because the next shot's what matters. And I think
Definitely. Yeah.
most people are just so obsessed with playing perfect. Like, it's a game of imperfections. Like, every course has, I mean, you could play the same course 4 days in a row. It's going to have different wind. It's going to have different grass length. You're going to have a different lie every time you hit the ball. It's not possible for it to go well. It's not possible.
Yeah. Definitely. And have you always been like that? I mean, I'm sure in the beginning you weren't. Like, can you talk to
No.
us a little bit about your journey from when you probably weren't that good of a golfer trying to figure it out to now like this realization that you've gotten on how you approach the
So,
game?
so I think what happens is everybody like gets connected to the game at some point where they're like, "Oh, I figured it out. I'm getting better." And then you expect to be so freaking good because you felt like you got there. But the reality is like, okay, I'm a 2.8. I float between a 2.8 and a 5 year round. And like, look, like I suck. Like I'm still not good. Like I know it. Like there's people that are just so much better at me. That's like you got to have a real expectation. Like being where I'm at, I know I'm better than most people that play golf, and that's good enough. Like I'm never gonna, if I don't practice and I don't go to the course and I don't take the lessons and do the time, how much better can I really get? So I play with a lot of guys that are like 8, 9, 10, 12 handicaps, and they get really pissed off. And I'm like, dude, what do you do to get better at the game? Like, what have you done? Like, if you're taking a lesson, do you like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos and TikTok videos about golf swing, and then I imagine and go do it. Like, I ask people, like, what do you do? Like, are you doing anything to make your game better? And most people's answers are no. They're just like, oh, I should be better. Like, it's not fair. My ball, I know people that get pissed off when they hit their ball into the rough, and it's like, well, then hit it in the fairway. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, then you should have hit in the
Yeah.
fairway. It's a simple,
So
and real quick, when you said like how the parallels of golf and business, I always say simple, stupid. Like if we're going to execute something, it's got to be something that anybody can understand. I always say Legos, like not Legos for like 12-year-olds, like Legos for the 3 to 5-year-olds. You know how they're bigger blocks. That's
yeah.
how I look at business, and that's also how I look at golf.
That was my next question actually. Can you actually share a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, like how you got started, how you made money and everything?
I mean, yeah, I just like, I mean, long story short, when I was in college in 2007, when I was 21, I met another person in college that was building websites. So we were building like Master P, like was one of our, we had a fan page, like a Master P, like the rapper. And we would like redirect traffic from banners. And we kind of figured out the internet at a young age. So we started building like insurance websites. So carinsurancerates.com, lifeinsurancerates.com, etc. And then you kind of just learn something new, you immerse yourself in it, you master it, and that's it. So that's kind of how I got started. And I was in college, and I just like, I don't know, I didn't really love school. I didn't really want to go work for somebody else. I always, growing up as a caddy and being around these guys that were entrepreneurs and successful kind of made me like, I want to be like these guys. Like I want to play at a club. Like I want to like be doing business deals. Like I knew like when I was 13 years old, it honestly started when I was caddy, and I was like, I want to be like these guys. Like this is what I want to do. So
Yeah.
there was a huge connection there.
Definitely. And we all know that, golf is a great way to build relationships and, enhance your business opportunities. Like, what are some of the tactics and strategies that you use when you're out there as a member at a course, for business in terms of networking, closing deals, and going to the course and stuff?
So I'm not like the greatest guy for that because the nature of my business isn't really like I'm not gonna find somebody and be like, hey, like you want to do business together. Like I'm in the consumer space, so like my clients are like I'm in home services, so pest control. I have a pest control business, an HVAC business, and I also am in solar energy, and so those just aren't really like my type of things. But I meet a lot of people, and I always think to myself how I would do it. But here's how I would do it if I was there: is like you're not asking for a sale at a golf course. You're just making a connection. That's it. I actually don't believe that you want to discuss business at the golf course. I think it's an opportunity to be friends with somebody and like get to know them a little bit. And then later on, you would be like, hey, I would love to talk to you about this. And I've done that before, but I don't do it at the golf course. Like, I don't think the golf course is really meant to actually like do the business at, but I think it's a good place to make the connections. And then, hey, I'm going to give you a call next week, or hey, one of these days I'd love to pick your brain or something like that. That's how I would
Yeah.
use it.
I totally agree with that. I mean, with the game of golf, like you're out there in nature, like
To play golf.
connected to the environment, and you also learn so much about that person. Like just
Oh,
let the game tell you, who this person
everything.
is.
It's so true you say that. Actually, I think people get defined how you can tell a lot by a person about how they react when they hit a bad golf shot. You can tell
Yeah.
everything you ever need to know about somebody by
So
how they
let's
hit a bad.
talk about that because I think that's a very good topic and a lot that people can learn from. Because when you're on the golf course, like how do you know how to respond to a shot? How do you know like how to actually have the
Well,
proper etiquette and all of that? How did you learn?
so etiquette's subjective. Everyone's gonna have their own etiquette. But when I hit a bad shot, I'm a realist. I'm like, okay, I hit that shot already. It's over and done. I'm on to the next one. Like I can't even think about that anymore. And when I get mad at myself, I try to use that energy towards the next shot. I'll give you an example. Like yesterday, playing the Blue Monster, which is just a disaster always. I'm on 14. I hit the ball left into the trees, which is obvious. It's always there. And I'm like, all right, I got no shot at the green. What do I do? So I punch it out in the fairway. That's all I could do. Leave myself 125 out, and I'm playing a match, and I'm like, I got to do this. I got to figure this out. So I hit it out there, and I get there, and I'm like, nah, it's all good. I was like, and I said this to myself, like, Andrew, this is just your normal driving range, like gap wedge right here. Just go at the pin, like just make contact and go. And I put it to 4 feet and hit it for par. But it was all mental aptitude. It had nothing to do with like, because if you get mad at yourself, like, oh, you suck, you can't do this, like, yeah, then that's it. But it's all like how you approach it. And I used to take lessons probably like 6, 7 years ago. I haven't taken lessons anymore. And one of the biggest tips I ever learned was, okay, like when you stand behind the ball, imagine your shot. Like
Yeah.
think, it's gonna go like this and it's gonna land next to the pin. Then go fucking do it.
Yeah, that's the power of the mind right there. And a lot of people don't use that. I was actually working with someone today that's a beginner golfer, and I was just telling him, hey, like let's work on the flow of the shot, the execution. Like learn what it feels like to effortlessly execute a shot. Because especially beginners, they know like, okay, this is a very complex sport. I got to know this, this, and that. First, you need to build the foundation of your flow. Like, what
Totally.
is your rhythm? Like, go out there and like look at the shot and hit it. Like, don't think of where you need to put the club. I've seen that to be one of the biggest things. And my next question to you, it was going to be related to how you use the mind, but you kind of answered that. But you play a lot of matches. You're out there competing a lot.
Yep.
When you play, what helps you execute that shot when it matters most?
So, dude, like, I'm a very competitive guy. Like, ever since I was a little kid, anything sports related, like, I was obsessed with not being the shittiest person at it. Like, part of my language, but like, I'm just very competitive, and like, I feel that either you're competitive or you're not, right? And if you're not competitive, that's cool too. Like, that's just not your personality. Like, I am like full blown. Like, I crave the pressure. I love it. Like, I nothing feels better to me than taking the impossible and winning. So I think by having that, being wired that way is what pushes me that way. Like, it helps me execute. Like, I
And
love
what
it. Like,
and what piece of advice do you have for someone that maybe is a little bit timid to get into the pressure and actually like want to like believe in themselves to execute shots like when it matters most? Like, what would you have to say to them? Because I mean, for you, it was pretty natural. You said you were wired that way, but a lot of people just aren't wired that way.
oh
How do you
yeah,
think
I
they
got it.
can like
I
build
got a
that?
good explanation for this. So like, the reality is like, the reason we watch golf on TV is not because we just love watching golf. Like, let's all be real. Like, we're all just pretending we're that guy on TV doing that shot. It's like, when I was a kid, I used to watch Michael Jordan, and every time I did my layups at school or in basketball, I'd have my tongue out to the side. I was like imitating Michael Jordan at all times. So like, like, I think that that's where you got to connect with golf. Is like, you're not a pro, but like, yo, feel like it a little bit. Because like, why else are we watching the pros on TV if we don't want to be like them? We all want to be like them. That's the reality.
A hundred
So like, I
percent.
put myself in that mindset on the course. Like, yo, like, I'm gonna do it like them. Or like, it's just you got, and like, you gotta have confidence, man. If you don't have confidence, like, I feel like I can hit any putt on the green at any time. Within 10
Yeah.
feet, I'm hitting them. Like, I'm
Do
hitting
you
the
feel
cup.
like that's delusional, or is it
It's
do you
totally
feel like there's a
delusional.
little bit
Everyone
of
says it to
delusion?
me. What's funny is like, I was playing yesterday, and I was playing with Sal and some of the guys from Doral, and like, we're playing like games, and I'm like, it's a straight putt to my partner. He goes, dude, everything to you is straight. I'm like, yeah. It's like, I hit a lot of putts, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, like, I don't hit as much break, and I hit it more firm, and that's it. Like, I make putts that way.
Yeah. No, I was talking to a buddy of mine who was struggling with his putting, and I was like, imagine like you're already made every putt. Like it already went in. Like how would you hit that putt? It's like that second ball All American, that we all hit. Like
Yeah,
after
true.
you hit a terrible first shot, then you hit the second one pure. It's like why?
Yeah,
It's
you
because you
have
don't
to be
care.
delusional.
Because it's like
To, and look, to be okay, like, I've been fortunate enough to be around some good golfers and like good athletes at all levels. Like, I have friends that have like, won NHL Stanley Cups. Like, in college, I had friends that played on the football team at Ohio State. Like, yada yada yada. Every single person that has the competitive edge has something delusional and wacky about them. And if you're
yeah.
not delusional about it, then you're never going to get to that next level. You're so right
And
about that.
Definitely. And I feel like people are like shy about being delusional like that because of what other people think. And it's like you got to
Totally.
throw that out the window.
But you
And
can't be like, but you can't be super delusional. Like, you can't be like, okay, like, my swing sucks. I've never done anything to make it better, and then I should be shooting in the 70s. Like, first off, breaking 80 is really really hard. Like, I don't
yeah,
care what anybody says. Like, and I break it, and every time I break it, I'm like, phew, like, I did it. But like, it's not easy. Like, and it might take you the whole lifetime to ever even break 90, and
yeah.
it's just, it's not easy.
And to that point, like the whole reason why I created the connected golfer was it's an archetype that people can embody to feel like the best version of themselves on the course, like that feeling of confidence, that vision. I feel like so many people go out to the course and they don't even have a vision of the type of golfer they want to become.
Oh, I think
Like,
about it on
what are
the
you
way to the
aspiring
course.
to?
Oh, when I'm on my way to the course, I'm thinking about like, okay, like, this might sound crazy to most, but, and you play with me, but like, I've spent a lot of time in my life on tempo. Like, and I think that in when you really break down the game, like, all I think about is tempo being good, one, and two, the ball is an object in the way of the swing. It's just there. Like, I'm not hitting the ball, I'm swinging the club, and by chance, I've made myself think in my head that the ball is in the way. So there's really only two things you have to do to be good at golf. One, your face needs to be square when you hit the ball, right? And two, if you just hit the middle of the club is designed to do certain things. It's designed to go a certain distance. It's designed to spin. You don't need to do anything else but hit the middle of the face of the club. That's all you have to do at any swing speed, really. right? Like that's the reality. It doesn't seem that difficult, but I think people like really like overcomplicate it and they think too much about, like, oh, I need to like get down the line and turn the wrist over and do this and that. Like, no,
Definitely.
you just need to hit the middle of the face. You don't
Yeah.
have to swing hard to hit. I did. I hit the ball pretty far, but you know me, I don't swing fast or hard. Like, I think my max out is like 109, 110 on the driver, and like I could swing it 115 if I wanted to, but I hit the middle of the face every time.
Yeah.
I hit it up in the air, I hit up on it, and I've simplified it to like, hey, like 275 down the middle, 280. I'll take it. It's good.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, when we're ever out there, like, that's what we usually talk about. And I love it because it's like we keep it simple and we go to the things that actually drive results, drive performance. I wonder, why do you think people are getting into golf? Like, there's so many people getting into golf now. Like,
Oh
what do you
man.
think it's happening?
It's funny you say that because like I've been obsessed with golf my whole life, and a lot of my friends, like, okay, all my friends know I golf, and I have friends that golf. Obviously I have two groups of friends. I have my golfing friends, and then I have a bunch of friends that don't golf. And it's funny, like I get hit up all the time. People like girlfriends, wives, like, hey, my husband wants to get into golf. I'm just known as the golf guy. They're like, what do we do? How do we start? And I'm like, look, like there's a whole process to this, but you got to realize, I tell everybody, I'm like, for you to go out there and be good, it's going to be really hard and it's going to suck for a long time. And it's like, you need to have that expectation that it's going to be that way. And I think people get addicted to the idea of getting better at something. Like you start
Yeah, I agree.
here and then you work your way to here. And that's like the ultimate satisfaction. Also, golf is very social. Like, okay, like I'm 38. Like a lot of my guy friends at this age, like they don't find new hobbies or things to do, and it's like, we're gonna go to the nightclub and do this. No, you need something to do. So mentally, golf is fits the profile of many different things connected into one. Like one, it keeps your competition edge going forever. I know guys that are in their 80s that still play competitive golf. Like they're mentally sharp because they're playing golf. It's a puzzle. Like instead of doing it on your kitchen table, you get to go outside and do it. You connect with nature, it's socialized, it's the whole 9 yards. So that's
Yeah.
why I think people are getting into it.
100%. And you talk about problem solving, a puzzle. I'm curious to know what your strategy is whenever you're attacking a problem to solve. What's like the one thing you go to that like really gives you a sense of strategy for how to like tackle this problem
For golf,
for golf and for life in general? But because there are
um,
parallels, like we talked about.
so I feel like you kind of got to have your strategy when you get to the golf course, but you also got to have your strategy in mind when you get in the tee box, right? And I think if you stick to the strategy that you make up, you're gonna win. So my strategy when I get to the golf course is I just want to hit fairways in the middle of greens. That's it. And that's my strategy. That's it. I don't really do anything. I don't have a sexy game. I'm not like pounding the ball over the water. That's my strategy when I get to the course. And I know that every single time. And if I stick to that strategy, I shoot good golf.
Yeah, and what I was really referring to was like, let's say you hit a shot and ball lands in the middle of the fairway, but it's in a divot, and you
Uh,
go up to it. That's a problem.
that's a
But
problem.
you gotta like face the
You just
problem.
gotta
Like
like pretend it's not there. Like it's just part of it. Like it's once again back to delusional mindset when you're in golf. Like, yeah, so what? Let's give me a club. Let me swing it. Like
yeah,
that's it. It's
tackling
over and
out
done.
everything.
Just go for it.
Yeah,
Same thing if like your balls like I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of people. Okay, one bunker shots are not slow finesse. You got to power through. And I think and I think a lot of people get really upset when they get into the bunker and they don't really like have the ability to get out, or they hit the sand and they stop and they want to know why their ball didn't went 2 feet. Like you just got to have the confidence, the mindset to go and do it. Like you know how to do it, but you're scared to do it because you're scared of the result if you do a bad job. Bad job is
100%.
the bad job is not a possibility ever. If it's a possibility in your head, it's not for you.
That's why I talk about the process all the time because it's like if you practice the process and you disconnect from the results, you tune in to the actual sensation of playing golf. You're not playing golf swing. You're playing golf. So the golf is you're faced with a problem, how do you overcome it? You're faced with a challenge, how do you persevere? And what is the system that you're going to use? Like you said, you have your strategy. And
Well,
for a
I
lot of
don't. Okay, so
golfers,
I don't per se have a system. I'm more of like I've. I mean, dude, like when you start your own business at 21, you've seen it all. I've had everyone screw me, not pay me, this and that. So like, I don't really get rattled. Like, I don't get rattled. Like, I'm in a bad situation, I don't get rattled. It is what it is, and you have to take it heads on. So, like, I actually try to think less about my golf game when I'm out there. Like I said, like simplification. Like, like
Yeah.
I'm 150 yards out at this club. Swing it, dude. Like, I don't try to think so much about the wind in my face. I know a lot of people get scared of the wind in your face. Look, by the way, the key to the wind in your face is not putting spin on the ball. Hit it straight. Like, like
Yeah.
just
And that in itself is your form of your system. Like it's
yeah, I
your
guess
way
you're
of
right.
going about it. And
Yeah,
for a lot of people that are like playing golf, getting started, and you said, hey, like it's going to be hard. It's going to be super
it's
like
gonna be so
challenging to get good. And it's like, don't be discouraged either because the game of golf, you got to understand what your purpose is first. Are you trying to be the best golfer in the world or are you trying to play golf to have fun and to become a better
Well,
person?
so yeah, you're right. Okay, so what I just want to throw this out there. I always tell people like that are trying to get better at golf. One of the best tips I ever got, and this was years ago. I took lessons 10 years ago from a guy in Fort Lauderdale. His name was Melvin. I don't have no clue if he still teaches golf or whatever it is. But this is when I first decided, hey, I want to get good at golf. And the first assignment he gave me when we started to do lessons was to go play golf with one golf ball and do not lose that ball. He told me to not come back to him until I can complete one single round with one golf ball. And don't he doesn't care what I shoot. He's like, you could shoot 150. He goes, I don't care. He goes, play one round without losing your golf ball. And I really was like, oh, interesting. I was like, so I actually went out and I played around and I didn't lose a golf ball. But the way I did it was I knew like, okay, let me give you an example. Like if you're 235 out over the water with some wind, it's not realistic for a 12 hand. It's not realistic for 99% of golfers to hit that shot. So why would you even try that shot? Like lay it up and chip to the front. You taught me something really, really interesting about a couple months ago when we were playing. We were on the par fives, you remember? And you told me like, yeah, I could full send the 3-wood 250, 255, or I could lay up and just have a chip shot. And what's a better chance for me to make a birdie? And the better chance for me to make a birdie was to lay up and have the short chip shot in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Learning how to play percentage golf. And what you really mentioned right there was how to channel your focus. Because if you're able to like be very intentional with what you're focusing on, like your buddy was like, hey, like focus on just not losing a ball. Like screw whatever you shoot. That is powerful. And that's what really golf is like there for. Like today when I was training with this guy, I was like, hey, like just focus on executing the process of the shot. And I told him, hey, walk up to it, find the dimple on the ball so you can
Well,
focus, trace
so
a line. That's the process. That's where they
yes.
focus.
I actually have a process when I approach the ball, and I don't know if you noticed playing with me, but I kind of do the same thing every time. So, I pick a spot. I used to have a terrible aiming problem. Like my feet were over here and there. So the way to simplifying that was finding a spot 2 feet in front of the ball, like standing behind the ball, finding the spot and aiming at that. So keep my eye on that spot, walk up to the ball, aim the club face at that spot. That's how I aim. I also kind of do the same thing on the putting green. Most people don't think about this, but it's a cheat code. So if you find a spot 1 foot in front of your ball on the putting green and you put it to that spot 1 foot before, what's the chances of you actually making your putt?
I
So
mean, it's higher because every 1 foot putt is
that's all I
straight.
do, man. Everyone's like, how do you make so many putts within 10 feet? Because I literally find a spot 1 foot in front. There's a line on the ball. I line it up to there. I watch so many people that don't line their ball up, which drives me crazy because it's like all you have to do is line the ball up and then line your putter line up to that ball and hit it. So that's my simplification. I look for 1 foot in front of the ball. That's it.
No, I love it. I agree with that. I was actually told like Tommy Marino over here in Doral to do that, and he's like, "Hey, every 1 foot putt is straight. Just pick the
That's
right
it.
line."
Dude, that's so right. It's a 1 foot straight putt. That's all it is. Hit it straight 1 foot, and then it's gonna do its thing from there. You're
No,
so right.
I love it.
I also with putting too that this kind of hit really hard to me is like I don't think people realize that the putter is a weighted device, right? And if you take that weight back naturally, where's that weight have to go?
It's got
It
to go
has to
through,
fall down and forward, right? So like I don't think people are using the weight to their advantage. You're not
dude. And
like
you told me that with chipping, and it
yeah,
actually helped me a ton.
it's
He's
the
like,
same
just let
thing.
gravity do the work.
It's just dude, it's you know, it's the same thing. It's funny. Like it's gravity. That's it. If you bring the weight, I mean, look, it's a thought that's out there. Not everyone's going to think that way. But in my head, if I bring the weight back for the chip and I just get it up here and I drop and let it through, the club's going to do most of the work because of the weight of it. Same
Yeah,
thing with putting.
that's the reality, and that's what we're here to share with the people.
Yeah,
So
man,
thank you,
absolutely.
Andrew. I really appreciate you sharing all those nice little nuggets for the
No
peeps here.
worries.
I
No worries,
appreciate
man.
it, man. I
Thanks
know
for
you're a
having me.
busy guy, so thanks for
No
taking the time.
worries. No worries. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
you guys.
Keep
Stay
it
connected
simple.
for the next pod.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I say.
That's it.